Hey guys, and welcome back to Treasure Theory. Guys, today I thought we would just jump right into the video. I figured we'd do a market watch for once. I don't do too many market watch videos where we look at direct sales that have happened recently, but I thought it'd be fun to pull up a ton of cards that I thought were really interesting, take a look at what they've been selling for, and just talk a little bit about it. So just right off the bat here, we have got a Treasure Cup card, and you know how I feel about Treasure Cup cards. We've got a Shirahoshi Championship Top 64 going for $1,750 US, which is insane because when you think about it, there's only about 170 of these PSA 10s, which is incredible. But when you actually take a look at all of them that have been graded, the majority of them are all PSA 10s. But let's not mistake that, the print quality is pretty incredible. But no, top 64 cards are really cool, guys. And, obviously top 16, top 8 are even more impressive. But these are basically trophy cards, and I really think Treasure Cup cards are worth it. Moving on, we've got the SP Boa here. This is the first SP Boa. Obviously, I've been seeing a lot of the red one going around, selling for about $1,200, just regular. I do think perhaps it's a little overinflated, but who knows? I know One Piece is also going through a bit of a correction right now, which is super interesting, and I'll probably touch more about that in another video. But as we can see here, we have got a PSA 10 SP Bow going for $1,625, which is kind of insane, guys, because straight up, like SPs, they're hard to get, but you can get them in packs. I mean, there's 2 per case typically. I mean, this card, if you ask me, is more valuable and more impressive because this is a trophy card. You have to win this card, and there was only a limited amount made. But I get it. It's Boa, waifu tax, and it is a great card. I personally prefer this one over the red one from OP14. But hey, 1625 USD, that's pretty crazy. It's about 2,000 Canadian. But let's move on. So I talked about this in a video a little while ago, and that was getting cards signed by the voice actors and people relevant to the show and the manga and stuff like that. And as you can see here, we've got Colleen Clickenbeard, who's the English voice actor of Luffy, signing this really nice looking promo Luffy card going for about $455 USD, which, is pretty interesting. There's only 11 in total. I'm assuming that includes Colleen's signature herself on that. I actually met Colleen probably like 6-7 years ago. Really, really nice. I was asking her about voice acting and stuff. She was really cool. So next up, we've got another PSA 10 Chopper manga card selling for close to $6,000. And this was also autographed by Lisa. And Lisa is actually Lisa Ortez, who was the 4Kids dub of the Chopper. So I always find that a little interesting how, there's people who remember the 4Kids, and then there's the people who remember or who are currently watching the Funimation version. But yeah, I mean, interesting choice for the voice actress. I personally think having the current one would be better, but hey, to each their own. This card did sell for quite a high price, so clearly somebody thought it was worth it. We've got this card going for $500 US. This is just a very normal looking card, but of course, it's an old Romance Dawn pre-errata card. So, I mean, obviously pre-errata, very special to a lot of people. People love pre-errata cards because they're unique, they have mistakes. And not to mention, this is basically probably one of the first Luffy cards, Luffy leader cards that exists because, 2022, Romance Dawn, I mean, the One Piece TCG, if you didn't know, started, I believe, December 2022. So very interesting stuff. I wanted to show this card here because I remember back in the day, I can't remember if this came with the games, but, they would give you like these fun little One Piece cards, and they're very old looking cards. They're obviously not related to the current TCG, but they're selling for a lot of money. And there's a PSA 10 of Smoker here, which is going for $1,000 US, which is insane. And not to mention, there's only 5 of them that currently exist that are PSA 10s, and only a total of 9 have been graded. So I think that's really interesting. And that's another thing too when it comes to like, grading and stuff, is the population of these cards also matters. I find a lot of people don't think about that because it does create another layer of the whole, supply, demand, scarcity kind of stuff like that. So super interesting stuff. Thought it was kind of worth bringing up, but yeah, I unfortunately used to have these cards. Maybe they're somewhere in my parents' house, but yeah, that's crazy. $1,000 US for that. Moving on, we have got the Trafalgar Law manga card selling for about $800 US. It was lightly played, but personally, it looks like it's in pretty good condition, if you ask me. I wouldn't say this is the most expensive Law out of all of them. I think the original one is a lot more worth the price and chase, but I do think it's still a nice law. $800 US, a bit steep for me. I remember somebody was trying to sell this to me for $450 a couple months ago. I unfortunately just didn't take it at the time, and I regret it, but hey, we all make mistakes. All right, moving on. So I thought this was interesting because I actually pulled this Sanji from my local card store about 3 or 4 months ago. They had a surplus of like tournament packs and stuff, and they were kind of giving them out to people, and I'm not sure if that was really, I don't know if there's like a rule or against that or whatever, but basically they were kind of just giving out, and they weren't like Treasure Cup cards or anything, but they were kind of like local cards. They were giving out little championship cards for local tournaments and stuff. But anyways, I pulled this card, and at the time, it was only worth like maybe $15, but to see it sell for 200 US as in PSA 10 is super interesting. We've only got 21 total population too, but I really did feel like the card was special, because when I took it out, the texturing for the text, I should say, for the name, and of course, like the 2 on the top, it's like it pops out, which you normally see in Treasure Cup cards. So thought that was really cool, and yeah, interesting price, $200 US right there. Moving on, we've got this Luffy, which is another card I pulled when the store was giving them out. Really cool looking card. It's a judge card. I believe judge cards were given out for judges for local tournaments, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, it's a simple looking Luffy card. I think the design's really nice. It is a cool card. And, stamped cards in general, I have always just advocated are obviously going to be worth more. I've got a ton of pre-release cards from some of the tournaments I went to, and some judge cards that I just happened to get from when the store was doing that. But yeah, 350 Canadian here. There's only 104 total population for PSA 10s, but super interesting stuff. All right, so just wanted to show a little bit of Japanese cards here. The Japanese Treasure Cup cards are so cheap, and like, I understand the English is just going to be worth more in general, but to see this card only sell for $200 in a PSA 10, I think is super interesting. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting a couple of these in Japanese. They're still trophy cards, right? They're still trophy cards. They're still difficult to come by. Obviously, the English is going to be worth a ton more, but $200 US for PSA 10 Japanese, pretty interesting stuff. Moving on, the Gear 5 Luffy. So fun fact, this was the first alt-art One Piece card I ever pulled in my life, and it was the Japanese version. This was the first time. This is what pulled me right in. Not that I wasn't already a big One Piece fan, but this was the dopamine really went to me seeing the Gear 5 Luffy. But this card is selling for $675 US right now. Huge PSA 10 population. Almost 3,000 PSA 10s, which is insane. Total of 3,000 in general, but for this to go $675 US, personally think it's a little overinflated, but, Gear 5 Luffy. Anyways, moving on to the actual grail here. We've got the Gold SP Luffy selling for $15,000 US. Crazy, man. Absolute madness, but it's a grail. Okay, can't deny that. Moving on, we're back to this manga law again, but we can see here PSA 10 selling for about 1,600 USD. Total population is close to 1,300. So definitely got a higher population for this card, but 1,500 USD is about 2,000 Canadian. Majority of the manga cards are around that price right now, anyways, plus or minus a couple. But moving on, we got the SPAs. I really like this SP. I think that it's really unique. It really represents Ace. I just think whoever is the artist or the people behind the SP backgrounds are geniuses. I really think that was just such a great call. There's 1,100 of them total population of PSA 10s, 1,200 in total. But yeah, $700 US, close, pretty much $1,000 Canadian. Kind of insane how expensive these cards have gotten, but honestly, they are super pretty to look at. And if you're a nerd like me and you like to just have a drink of whiskey or something one night on a Friday or Saturday and just kind of look at anyways, okay, moving on. We've got the Nami SP. This has been sold for $1,100 US. This card's pretty insane to find. This card's from OP05. Really pretty Nami SP. I'm pretty sure this is the first official abstract SP of Nami that came out. OP05, really expensive set to get. Pretty decently sized population of 21, almost 2,200 of PSA 10s, but again, print quality is high. Moving on to the Dodgers card. Now, I remember this card was flaring up and going crazy for a little while. But, you know, the Dodgers card, still expensive, probably one of the better sports cards that exist. You know, I personally think this is still way better than the few other sports cards we've got, especially with the basketball one. Like, this definitely, I think, blows it out of the water. But this sold for about $2,300 US. A little steep for me, but there is a... Look at this. Wow! Look how many... So there is 10,000 total population of this card being graded. That's insanity. So you're telling me a good portion of all of the Dodgers cards were graded. Okay, that is interesting. And look how many of them were PSA 10s. Makes you think. Moving on, we've got the Wanted poster. This card has just completely mooned. I remember this card selling for $400 Canadian. Now it's like, that's $1,000. $1,300 US recently sold for. Total population 1,800. But let's be honest, this is the top tier Wanted poster. It's Gear 5 Luffy. I mean, like, nothing else needs to be said about it. And of course, it's in a PSA 10, so super interesting. We've got the Gum Gum Giant from PRBO2, guys, selling for $2,100 USD, which is crazy. This is such a pretty, beautiful card. And look how low the population is for PSA 10s. That's super interesting. It's not exactly like the most accurate indicator, but seeing a population of a certain card does kind of help put into perspective how many exist, right? It does sort of help. It's not a full picture, but, you know, a lot of people do grade their cards. So we've got the SP Ace from OP13 selling for about $560 US. This was a bid. Very interesting stuff like that. Total population up to 10 is 100. Total population in general is 117. Let's take a look at this data real quick. So we got 2 8s, 9 16s, and the majority is 118. But yeah, super cool. Really nice SP. Moving on. We got a lot of SPs here. We've got the Luffy Taro from OP11. This selling for $710 US. You know, it's got about 957 of PSA 10 population, but really, really nice card. This card's on my watch list. I mean, it's got Luffy, and Wano was just such a great arc, so really nice to see that. Okay, so we're back to Treasure Cup cards. So I am personally trying to collect the full set of this because I've always wanted to have like one specific, you know, championship, Treasure Cup, regionals, whatever you want to call it, like event. I wanted to collect like a total collection of event cards. I've got the Yasop, I've got the Ben Beckman. I don't have the Shanks. But as you can see here, it is a top prize event card selling for $5,000 US. And look at the population. Only 59 are in PSA 10s. Total is 68. So, you know, a lot of people do grade their Treasure Cups, but that's insane to see. We've got the 3rd anniversary Three Brothers winner card of Luffy selling for $2,200 USD, which is madness to me because right before the boom happened, I actually bought the 3 packs of these cards off of somebody for about $300 Canadian. So the absolute explosion of these cards is huge. I'm pretty sure the creator behind Black Clover was the one that did the art for this, which is super nice. And honestly, that's probably really, you know, boosted the value. We saw that with the Gorosei cards in OP13. So yeah, super interesting stuff. And the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen did that one. But yeah, let's move on. So we got a PSA 10 here of the anniversary set of Nami. Really, really nice looking Nami card, honestly. I really do like the style here. How textured is this card? It actually looks very textured. But it sold for $400 US, which, you know what? Fair enough. I mean, it's a Nami card. It looks nice. I think it's a good sale. So, the Gold Buggy card selling for $5,250 US. Crazy, guys. This is raw right now. This card's about $2,500 USD, so almost over double the price. Total population is 54, but majority of them are PSA 10, so that's pretty cool. Really nice card. We've got the One Piece Boof Burst selling for $225 USD. You know, the manga event cards are really pretty. I personally don't have any of them in PSAs, but I am collecting them. I only need the Boa and the Gear 2 Luffy, so getting up there, but they're all really great cards. I definitely think they're good holds. They're just pretty, and they're also a derivative of the manga cards themselves. So really interesting stuff. Moving on. Speaking of manga cards, we have got the Gear 4 Luffy selling for $3,100 US. Beautiful card. I just finished Whole Cake with my fiance. We were rewatching it for her. Such a great moment in the story. And personally, one of my favorite Luffy cards. I really, really like this. I really like this manga card. But total population of PSA 10s is 1,670. Definitely a decent bit. Almost 2,000 graded. but a lot of people are doing that these days, grading their cards. So, you know, especially their mangas. We've got the pre-errata Ace card selling for $1,275. I think that's pretty decent. This, again, pre-errata card. Definitely valuable. About 500 of them in total population. We've got another championship card here. Top 16 for 25-26, so it's a recent event that happened. Selling for $6,100 USD. Now, guys, like I said, you know, Treasure Cup cards, championship cards, very valuable. They're basically trophies. So getting your hand on a couple of these top cards is basically like owning a trophy of the event. So $6,100 USD, though, is pretty expensive, but there's not too many of them that exist. There is a low population of 293 in total that were graded, but I don't even think they give out 1,000 of these cards. I think the population for a lot of these type of cards is pretty low. I'd have to go through how many how many tournaments take place, because I imagine they can only give it's the top 16. So, you know, obviously you'd have to do the math there, but still, really valuable card. We've got the Treasure Rares, the Treasure Rare cards. Now, I forecasted these were going to do well, and they blew up, and they went crazy, but I didn't think this Luffy was going to pop off the way it did. And to see it for $785 USD is a little insane, but if you didn't know, Treasure Rare cards are super rare. They are. I believe it's one in every case, maybe. Very hard to get. It's interesting to see how it finally took a turn, because it is relevant. The supply and demand does, and scarcity does matter here. But yeah, $785 USD. It's currently selling for $225, $250 Canadian right now. So next, we've got these insane OP13 red drop manga cards. I mean, these cards are incredibly difficult to get. I believe it's like below a 0.2% chance per case, which is insane considering how much a case is now. But $9,000 USD, which is unreal. A total population of graded PSA versions, 141. A little more than I thought, but honestly, that's still pretty low. But yeah, insane right there. Next, we've got the OP13, you know, the monochrome-looking SPs that are really nice. Really low PSA 10 population, or just PSA in general. Only 65 of these, but sold for $510 USD. That's really interesting. It's interesting how certain cards have very low grades, or there's just not a lot of them graded. It's interesting to think about. Next, we've got this PSA 10 Nami SP from OP09. Probably one of the better Nami cards in general. I personally love this because of Zeus. But yeah, we can see here almost $2,000 Canadian, $1,750 USD. Pretty big buy. Next, we've got the gold SP Luffy, and like, you know, this isn't a surprise, selling for $12,000 USD, which is insane. And look at the population here too. Really interesting. It's really interesting how certain cards just, you know, makes you wonder. But these are great cards, and obviously they're in massive demand. So it is pretty interesting to see this kind of information. Moving on, we've got the Manga Luffy from OP13. Obviously, probably one of the better looking manga cards, if you ask me. I'm not a big fan of all of them, but I really like this Luffy. And, you know, selling for $5,600 USD. I mean, it's Luffy. It's going to do well. And honestly, like, I think it is a really good Luffy card. So this card's been causing a stir because they keep printing this card a lot for a lot of people. But I think it's a really nice card. The magazine promo card from Japan, and it's got a total population of, as you can see, 10,476. Those are a lot of these cards. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's worth, you know, overpaying for. But $245 for PSA 10, I think is reasonable, if you ask me, for this card. And just a couple more cards left, guys. We've got the PSA Manga exclusive card for Luffy. Really, really cool card. You know, if you're caught up in Wano, this is a great vibe, you know. But no spoilers here. Great card. Definitely got a bit of a high population count of 6,000 PSA 10s, but again, they were exclusive cards, so, you know, if you got your hands on them, that's pretty cool. And I wanted to show this card real quick. It's just because, just the difference in price, right? We got an almost $2,000 card here in English as opposed to $185 USD. And same card, it's just Japanese. So definitely interesting to see that. And yeah, guys, that is pretty much it. That is our market watch for today, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. A lot of really cool cards. A lot of interesting prices and sales going on. But yeah, guys, if you want to see more market watch videos, let me know in the comments below. I do find them very interesting. Just kind of knowing what people are buying right now, what has been bought. So it definitely puts a little bit of a picture as to where the money's going. But I hope you did enjoy, guys. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Video should pop on the screen. Be sure to click it, and I will see you over there.